thank you for coming. I know that we're talking about founding FUBU.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an an audio documentary.
Right. It's an Audible original. It's there is no book on it prior or a book that exists. This was purely created for Audible. It is the story of how I founded FUBU with my partners, but also the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
You got $300 million running through a company a year with a bunch of young African American kids, and then a bunch of Jewish guys and a bunch of Asian people, and Jewish women too, and the innovation, the having more in common than apart, and then the trying to go world domination, but then you got the bad guys and bad girls from the streets. A lot of stuff that I've never shared before.
It's like a movie. It's like a drama.
It is.
And I live for these stories, especially. I've always been drawn to business stories. I love entrepreneurial stories where people take a risk, like take a shot. There's a parallel to like trying to make it in show business. You're like, I'm gonna try to be an actor or a singer or a comedian. You just go like, we'll see. You don't know how it's gonna go. You don't know that when you're selling that clothes out of the trunk of your car and giving it away to people. Yeah. Right. Like you're going to like hip hop video shoots. I think you told me, and you're like, hey, wear this,
and then they kick you off. And I'm still working at Red Lobster. I'm living in my house, but we turned my house into a factory with sleeping in sleeping bags next to the sewing machines that the women are coming in and sewing. But then you got your inspirational moments, because everybody's going to go through, hopefully, everybody's going to go through that time when they need to decide on where they want to go in life, where I was that waiter at Red Lobster, and that guy finally just pissed me off and kept snapping his finger because he's on a date, and he's actually on a date with a really hot girl, right? And
a customer,
and he kept snapping his finger, come over here. And at that time, I was little, but I was a pretty hot guy. Yeah. So I knew that I could have gotten his girl.
Yeah.
Because I kept coming over to him and looking at the girl like, "What's up? You need anything?" And so he kept snapping his finger. And then one minute he's like, "Give me some tartar sauce," and I said, because FUBU started to do well, not really great, but well. I said, "No. Go get your own fucking tartar sauce. How about that?" And that's the day I quit.
Wait, what did he say when you told him to get his own fucking tartar sauce?
He said, "I'm gonna call the manager," and the manager came over, "Damon, like, what's going on?" I was like, "Go fuck yourself," and I just quit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was that go fuck yourself moment.
Yes,
that we all want to have.
That's the best. Yeah, and especially to know that you have something else going, like you weren't like sabotaging your life.
Yeah, no, I was in Red Lobster 5 years while I was sewing FUBU at night.
Really?
Yeah, so it wasn't that it was like an easy transition. It went from 60 hours a week in Red Lobster to 50 hours a week in Red Lobster and 10 on FUBU, and then 40 hours a week and then 20 on FUBU, until I got to that point. I just had to make. I was scared to death. But
since the day you quit, have you ever been to a Red Lobster?
Yeah, I do go. You do? I go back once in a while. Yeah.
Do you like the biscuits?
I love the biscuits.
The biscuits
I love the biscuits. My wife, my wife doesn't like to let me go. She doesn't like to let me go. My wife's super healthy.
Right. So, she's like cholesterol
and all that shit. But I love Golden Corral. I love Red Lobster.
Man, I would love to go to a Red Lobster with you and just let's like fucking break it apart. Yeah. Like just get 3 baskets of biscuits.
Get it in.
Get crab legs, lobster. Let's go nuts.
Oh, the ultimate feast, yeah.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
You know what? Just because you're you, I'll treat you.
All right. I'm down.
I'll pay. And I'll be like, hey, man.
I'm down.
Now, that's crazy to me. It's one of the things that sets me off the most. I've been on a date before with a beautiful woman who, if you watch somebody mistreat a server, a valet or something, my opinion of you immediately shifts to like, oh, I don't care how hot you are. I don't care who you are. Yeah. It's such a shitty character trait in somebody.
I believe, because people for some reason or another think because you're doing this that they're better than you, when you could be out there trying to, doing it because you're trying to make it through school because you're going to be a heart surgeon one day and save lives,
of
right? Of
course.
So yeah, I find that, but I find, after working in the food industry, I'd worked at Church's Fried Chicken, I worked various other places. You don't do that unless you have all your food at the table.
Right.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Do not do that. And I've seen some really bad things happen to people's food.
In the kitchen? Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know I've gotten sick a few times, I guess. But no, oddly enough, I feel like the people who mistreat people like that it's not like in the movies when it's like the super successful guy who that can happen, but I'm saying I've seen it more from people who you're like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah,
like what
yeah.
are you doing treating people like this?
I think that's the only time that they can,
flex their power, whatever.
Yeah,
no
they can
power.
only feel like they can be important, and it's sad, but people are people. So.
People are people. Regarding FUBU, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but do you recall ever, and maybe this is documented in this, giving a garment, article of clothing, something to somebody that you're like, oh my God, excited to, and they're like, I don't wear this shit. Like, did you ever see that in your early days where somebody rejected you? Because I always feel like those moments would stick with someone.
It's a good question. I did not see it, but when you're giving garments away, you can't know everybody's taste.
Sure.
But it did get to a point where I was giving it away to a good amount of artists, and I would notice they were never wearing it. And their cousins and everybody else would wear it, and that's fine too, because at least it didn't go to waste. But I said to myself at a certain point, they just don't like the brand, but they don't want to say it to me because they want to try to get a check another way. You know what I mean? So it got to the point where we would not give anything to anybody unless we had already seen them wear it.
You had to see, oh, that's a good way to establish that. So at least you're a fan of what we're doing.
You're a fan of what we're doing, and that probably was after we were giving away so much, because when you give so much away, people tend to not value it as much.
Right.
Yep. So they'll be like, I'll get some more anytime, and they give it away, and then all of a sudden that special piece you wanted them to wear, they never wore it. Yes. And all of a sudden the season's over, and you got to give them some more stuff. So
the parallel in the comedy world is free tickets. There are places that especially in the club world, where their whole business is like, here are free tickets to shows. And then you realize that because they only care that the people are going to come in and do the 2-drink minimum,
right?
And the basket of fries or whatever. And then you go like, yeah, man, they're not valuing what's on stage because you're telling them it's fucking free,
right?
And every week you're just like free, and then people would walk up to these clubs and be like, hey, I want tickets, and then you're like, yeah, you got to buy them, and they're like, no, this place is free, like,
right?
No, it's not free.
100% spot on. It's the same thing in any business, right? We always say that, somebody needs to either fill out an application or spend $1, because then it's not free. And in their mind, even though something is worth $100, but for right now, if you just buy it for $1, at least you've gotten them to the transaction to be something of value.
This is a value.
Is exchange. And that's exactly what they do in ClickFunnels and as in business and stuff like that.
Is there a moment where, like, because obviously, like when you quit Red Lobster, you're like, things are at least trending in the right direction with FUBU, right? You're starting to work less hours as a server, you're seeing things pick up. But is there a point when you actually go like, holy shit, this is really taking off? Do you have like a moment for that?
Yeah, we go over some of those times. It was many of those times, because my partners and I always thought that the best we would have is maybe a boutique where all 4 of us could work, or maybe 4 boutiques in the hood. But as it kept growing, we were like, holy shit, look where we're at. So I go over some of the times of celebration. Like my first car, I bought the Lexus 360, and I bought the 80 CD changer, right?
Right.
And
80.
80. And I sat out front of Macy's. We just got the Macy's windows. I had the trunk open because everybody didn't need to see that I had 80 CDs at any given moment. I could just play one of them. And we had a cold,
like a Bond car.
Yeah, we had a cold 40 dog and some pork rinds, and we just sat on the edge of the car with all the girls go by, like, yo, that's us in the window, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want some pork rinds? You know what I mean? What do you want to hear? I got 80 artists right there. 80. So a lot of those
Fat Joe?
A lot of those moments. Yeah, a lot of those moments happened. It was really great.
That's amazing. How about, because I mean, you grew up in New York, and you're a big hip hop fan, and you're meeting artists.
Yeah.
Do you have, like a holy shit moment? I'm meeting like somebody I'm a huge fan of, and they like my clothes.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up not only in New York. I grew up in Hollis, Queens,
right?
And Run DMC, LL Cool J, Salt and Pepper, Ja Rule. I mean, I was telling you a little earlier, introducing one of my buddies, that me, Hype Williams, my friend Alfred, and who else I'm blanking out on? Me, Al, Hype, and Irv Gotti. We all went on the tours as roadies on the tours, on the first hip hop tours. The ones with this tour had LL, Run DMC, Big Daddy Kane, Eric B. Rakim, and Public Enemy. So we were all on those tours.
That's a wild tour. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're actually working on those tours.
Well, no,
but like
my job was to wear an all access pass, and when the girls, because at that time there were no other real tours, so when the girls and all the people stand outside the hotel, so Big Daddy Kane's job on the tour was to say, so girls were staying at the Radisson, and so when he said that, we were like, it's on. So now all of a sudden, and these hotels are the small hotels. These weren't the massive one. The parking lot would have 300-400 people outside. They're all trying to get inside. And
what would the hotel be like? Oh my God!
No, the police would be outside, and our job was to go out with the all access passes and saying, "Hey, you guys want to get in? Who do you want to see?" And our job was to allow them to get in.
Wow!
And that was it.
That's a real job, man. That's a good job.
And to sell tickets outside the arena, extra tickets that they had, we were supposed to go outside the arena and sell them.
I bet you could sell well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I could sell well. That was our job, and in payment for that job, it was to be able to be on tour and see all these great artists performing that we love, and that's what inspired me about to start FUBU, because I remember saying that, well, I could dance a little bit. I remember I was potentially gonna be able to be a dancer for Houdini, and my mother said, "You're not going on a tour as a dancer." And then I got replaced by a kid out of Atlanta named Jermaine Dupri.
Oh, he could dance too.
Yeah, he replaced me. But other than that, I realized that there was something I can do to have fun and make money at it, which was maybe creating the uniform for these artists and for these people in the audience. So
now, was that foundation? Because I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't LL a big FUBU guy? Wasn't he wearing FUBU a lot?
Yeah, LL is the one who put us overboard. He wore
was the foundation of that relationship that tour though?
Yeah, well, L grew in the neighborhood, yes, and we got to know him more on the tour because he was touring, and everybody in the neighborhood knew him, but everybody was asking him for things.
Yeah.
And so when I would go on the tour, I wasn't on the tour bus. I was one of the only kids with a car. I would make my way up to Troy, New York, or Albany, or whatever, locally, Philadelphia. And I remember one day LL said to me, he said, "Hey, you going back to Hollis?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I got something important for you to do for me." I said, "All right, well, what is it?" And he gave me his shitty little laundry. All his drawers all dirty and shit. And he said, "Take this to my grandmother." And I was like, yes. I have LL's drawers.
Yeah.
And I guarded those shitty little underwear with my life. And I took that to his grandmother. And that was one of the proudest moments of my life.
Yeah. But also, I bet he knew you were the guy to ask, and you were somebody who knew that ask, like, don't fuck this up. Yeah. Like, treat this like I gave you a bag of money.
It was like off. Coming to America. When you think of dirty underwear, think of me.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, and then did other guys on the tour, were you able to connect with them when you're making the FUBU?
No. Well, what really happens, you go on the tour, you start to meet the bodyguards of everybody, and then the bodyguard goes, or a tech guy or somebody goes, "Hey, I'm working the New Edition tour next summer," or "I'm working the Bobby Brown tour next summer," and then you start to move throughout the industry knowing people, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that helped, that's what helped me kind of move around.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, because I feel like it was sometime in the 90s, right, where things really exploded?
Yeah, so I started in 89. I closed it 3 times up until 92. I ran out of money, ran out of whatever. Really took a go at it 92, and then really it got hot around 97.
97.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I'm thinking back to like 97 is when I graduated high school. It's also like music videos are exploding left and right everywhere, and seeing it like in music videos and then on campus, because that's when I went to college, and you just started to see it everywhere, man. It's wild that like you making this, sewing in an apartment, and then it became a worldwide brand.
Yeah, we'd have never thought. We were just doing something we love.
It's crazy. And now it's still international.
Yeah.
So
Still
Japan
international.
and
Yeah, we're really big in the Philippines. Korea is more like a skate brand in Korea. South Africa does quite well. Germany. We're having a resurgence, I think, because of 90s hip hop is back. Obviously, a lot of the social issues going on in the world.
Yeah.
So it's actually starting to bubble again.
That's amazing. Like, I'm fascinated by that in the fashion world too, because another brand that I was like, I don't remember seeing. I mean, it was always there, but I don't remember like seeing it be like cool. And now I feel like it's kind of somehow popped to that, and I'm seeing brick and mortar stores. Is Champion.
Yeah.
Like Champion was always like, I don't know, kind of like workout gear, sort of. And
Champion was big in New York, though. Champion was
it?
always big in New York. Champion and Starter.
Starter, yeah, I remember, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's coming back. I'm not sure why. I think maybe it was acquired by somebody else, or you never know. Sometimes it's just the machine behind it.
Yeah, like can drive it. But with yours, it's like it is like a like a resurgence, right? Like it kind of come back up. That's got to feel good.
It always is good. It's great when a new generation, embraces something, that you have.
And how important is it? Because obviously, not trying to compare the two, but like we're always doing like hiring people to do designs, right, for merchandise and stuff. And what's the process like when it's a big company like yours?
Yeah.
And you obviously it's important. This shit's hot, or if you get just like put designs out that suck, like what's the process like?
Well, the process has changed greatly over the last 20 years due to technology, right? Because now things can be done on the fly. You can get it virtual from people. You can actually print on demand. So you can maybe put up 4 pieces and say, what do you want to see, or a subscription model, or pay in advance for it. So it's much different now. Before, the process was 1 year earlier, you were designing the next year.
Wow, a year.
A year earlier, because what you had to do is you'd have to go to all these countries and buy samples and see what leathers you like, or style or design, whatever case is. Then you finally go over to Asia or wherever you are manufacturing it. Then you have to source all the materials. That takes 90 days just to get the fabrics in. Another 90 days to sew it. Another 90 days to ship it. Before you know it, you got to have it here in very specific times. You had to have it here. Back to school clothes must be here by July. That's when they start putting it out, and then holiday, and then so it was always timely. Now it's much easier because you can do print on demand and other things.
And you can just be like, send me a bunch of designs. Yeah, because like even like when we have like I want to do this. Yeah. Sometimes they'll be like, here's 15 versions of it. What do you like?
Yeah.
Oh, I like this. Let's do more in this direction.
Yeah, and you can source it with a lot of people now, and you can do ways that if their design sells, or there's click-throughs, they know the percentage they're getting off each one of their designs. So it's so much more advanced and easier now. Wow,
impressive, man. I want to go back to your crew of you, Hype, and your friends.
Yeah.
That crew inspired the Belly story?
Yeah, so my buddy, we all knew each other, but my buddy was, he was hustling. And Hype Williams made the movie about him. His name is Alfred. And
real Alfred was the character, the inspiration for the DMX
Buns.
character, Tommy Buns.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. And we listen. I don't know what's in the water in Queens, but we all had this big entrepreneurial drive to us, because obviously Hype went on to do great things. Irv went on to have Murder Inc. Records, and Ja Rule and Ashanti and all those people, and then myself, I had the clothing thing going. So and that was 4 young kids at around 14, 15 years old who we had nothing besides a dream.
Do you remember seeing Belly the first time? Because I do. Yeah, I mean, it's because for people that don't know, and music videos have changed so much. It used to be like MTV was round the clock music videos, and VH1, and now it's like reality shows. But Hype also had such a unique eye. Like no one's videos looked like his videos.
Right.
And then he made a movie that the movie is like a 90-minute music video.
Yeah.
From like the cinematography is almost what stands out the most, because you'd see shots and you're like, holy, the opening,
Sure.
which is like Nas and them walking through that strip club with the eyes
yeah.
and the black light and the acapella,
Yeah.
Steady, Are You Ready going on, and it was like, yeah, when that movie starts, you're like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And DMX is amazing in it. I mean, you know, the guy is a natural performer. We were talking about DMX a while ago, that he, you know, everything that I've heard about people who knew him one-on-one say there's nobody as authentically themselves as him. But as a performer, I mean, you watch him in that movie, you're like, this guy's a natural actor too, you know?
Yeah, and he I don't know, and yeah, he was so amazing, and he pulled so many things. He felt like I was looking at my buddy Al in certain ways.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible story.
Yeah.
And do you still keep up with Hype?
I haven't caught up with him lately. I just went to dinner with Irv the other night, and I brought my buddy Al out here with me to see me film Shark Tank. But Hype is in Atlanta, and I don't get to see him as much, so I probably talk to him like once a year.
Okay. So you just wrapped, was it season, or no, not even wrapped yet.
Yeah, I'm in the middle. We're in the middle of shooting season 13.
Dude, I mean,
Yeah.
13 seasons
13 years.
is bonkers. We were just talking about how it's like, it's what people want to talk about too. When they meet you and they meet other sharks, they're just like, they care about that show.
Yeah.
That show fascinates people, which I get, because I see that it airs nonstop on what channel?
CNBC. It airs nonstop.
It's like,
first runs are on ABC, because it's an ABC show.
it is ABC.
A lot of people even think it's a CNBC show.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where if I walk in the room and like someone's in the middle of their pitch, I'll be like, let's see what this guy's got. And I'm just like, you know, I just want to see what it is. And the funny thing is, there's almost like something familiar to American Idol in the early days. When American Idol started, you're like, let's see if this dude can sing.
Yeah.
And then if they can sing, you're like, holy shit, they can sing. And if they're whack as fuck, you're like, oh my God, you suck. And so it's like that same kind of thing. I don't know, something about the human condition where you go like, I want to see this either way.
Yeah.
I want to see if it's terrible.
I want to see it unfold. Yeah.
And see if these guys shit on it, or if they're like, I would like you to give me $5 million for 2% of my company.
Yeah.
See if they're completely delusional. And then it's also inspiring to see somebody with a knock it out of the park product that you guys are like bidding over.
Yeah, you know what? I think that the world falling apart really has made people go back to Shark Tank. Shark Tank came out in 08 when the world was falling apart.
Wow.
Right?
08?
Yeah. Yeah, 08. I think 08 or maybe 09. I know we shot it for sure in 08. And I think that now, as people look at it, they go, man, I was working on somebody else's dream and they just didn't do the right thing, and I got to work on my dream. Or somebody goes, you know what, I'm saving 2 or 3 hours round trip a day, you know, not having to go to work. Let me start on some of these things, right? So I think that it's just... It's a show that shows if you're going to sit there laying on the couch thinking you can't do it and you're seeing other people do it, you go, all right, it's time for me to do it.
It's time for me to do it.
Yeah. And then it's also the ones you hate people too, because, you know, it also has gotten to the point where you do see I need $400,000 for 2%. Yeah. And I always say, well, fuck it, why don't you just make it 0%? I mean, we're only 2 points away from zero. Why don't I just give you $400,000, right?
Give you a donation,
what's wrong
man?
with you? You know what I mean? You come in here to just get a commercial. You just don't want a deal, right?
Right.
And so you get that discovery, because sometimes they don't want a deal, and you're at home going, oh, this person's a savage. But then sometimes, you know, you see it move from the 2 to 15. You go, oh, they do it. So it's really interesting to try to sniff out that person when they're when they're looking for that money.
And it's interesting though too. I think like it's what you're pointing out is that, you know, you guys are all experienced business people.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see sometimes, you know, you see somebody walk in from your home. You can be like, this person's nervous. They've never been in this world.
Correct.
They think they're doing something like ballsy by being like 2%.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's like an aggressive move, and they don't know that it's like delusional and insulting, basically. You know,
I gotta tell you what I think about it. You come in asking to give up 2% for whatever $200,000-$300,000, right? $400,000. It's a couple of things. Either you don't want a deal, either you raise so much capital that you only probably have 10% to play with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or it means that you're hemorrhaging. The business is doing a large amount of money, but there's no profits in the business. You're still trying to get money in, where'd the profit go? You're either not selling it high enough, or you guys have made a lot of mistakes, or you're sucking the business dry of its money, and you're looking to use my money. Those are all the reasons for me. You know what I mean? And then the worst part is not they go, all right, I'll give you the money for the 2%, and they go, all right, so we need you to make some calls. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm working now for the 2%.
Oh, right. Yeah.
If I send my money over to Apple, they don't dust Steve Jobs off and call me and ask me how to fix some shit. Why am I going to give you money and then I got to work for it?
No.
So, but I don't know you when you come on the show. You've seen me for 13 years, or you at least did your homework and said, let me go over some of this before I walk in the room.
Yeah.
So you can tell that I get passionate about it because either these people are idiots or whatever, but that comes across on the camera when you see us pissed off.
Sure.
And a lot of times people say to me, Damon, how dare you? You told somebody, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to make a decision on what you're doing. That pitch was 45 minutes long. I've been offering this asshole $500,000 for the last half an hour, and you're not paying attention to me.
Right.
I mean, you know.
No, I like it. I like you being this fired up.
So
I actually had an opportunity one time where I'll tell you off camera, a company that is a clothing company, right? A smaller clothing company. And I went to their offices and I really liked their stuff and I liked what they were doing. And they asked me if I wanted to be an investor. And I got excited because, I mean, it's just like that world of like, oh, an investment in a company. I got really excited. So I told my business managers, I think I want to do this. And they go, well, we're going to ask for their, their
due diligence.
And send over. And they sent over all the numbers. And then they basically broke it down, evaluated it for me. And they go, you don't want to do this. And it was a case of them essentially just looking for money to keep things going. Right. And at least they were transparent in what was happening. But I was like, I was all bummed out. I was all excited. This was going to be my.
Some people just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And they think for some reason, a lot of people don't understand money will highlight your weaknesses too. Because if you have a clothing company, but the margins aren't big enough, or you're putting out ads and they're not converting, well, buying more ads, you have more shitty ads that are not converting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And a lot of people go, well, if I only get this, No, you have to build a community. And don't go and buy more inventory. You'd rather try to catch up with sales, meaning I don't have enough come back. And that creates also this whole thing of, oh man, I better buy that shirt now because I'm not going to see it next week. But if you have a ton of shirts, a ton of product, then something's not working.
Right.
And don't spend more money to highlight that weakness.
And then I assume with like some of these investments you make from the show, even though you don't want to be like put to work, you end up being like a mentor of sorts to the people, right?
And I understand that comes with it. But that's why the Sharks ask for, we want to get better treatment than the traditional investor who's just putting in capital. Right? Because if we're going to get to work, we're going to call and open up doors for you, then why shouldn't we get preferential treatment for our money?
Yeah, you should be rewarded for
of course. Because then why don't I just spend more time on my own damn business?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You are also going to be producing, right? Some audio stuff for Audible.
Yep.
Are there new shows coming down the pipeline?
There are. I just I can't speak of any at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, some more Audible originals. We think that there's a lot of stories that people want to hear that they don't have necessarily time to pick up a book. They can listen to it, obviously, though.
It's the best.
Driving, wherever, get on the treadmill, whatever the case is,
Yeah, get on the train, pop in your headphones, and,
That's it. Yep.
Buy Raycon.com. Sponsor. I don't know.
No problem.
Maybe they'll buy another one. What is your take on, because I know you're a savvy business guy, and especially in the last year, a couple of things that have just never stopped being talked about. Cryptocurrency,
NFTs.
Bitcoin, and NFTs, right? Like just all the time. I have a guy that works here that has a virtual fucking racehorse.
Like a virtual racehorse?
Yeah. So he bought a virtual racehorse that competes in virtual races. He's out of his mind.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Redhead.
I've never heard of that. Is he on Earth 2 as well?
Is he on Earth?
Earth 2.
Oh, I don't know.
Is a virtual world. I believe it's called Earth 2.
I don't know. Can you Google that?
I think it's Earth 2.
Great. You're going to make him fucking buy something else today.
You can buy tiles. You can buy tiles of.
Oh.
There you go.
Dude,
So-
you just ruined his night.
Yeah.
He's going to come in tomorrow and be like, guess what I got on Earth 2?
Yeah, you can buy all. Well, I'm sure Beverly Hills is all taken,
Oh, yeah.
but you know,
Pomona's probably open.
yeah, I think Pomona's open. Yeah, so yeah, NFTs, cryptocurrency. I'm still trying to figure it out and learn it as well. I do know that all the people I respect know that NFTs is obviously going to be a path forward, and there's going to be very good ways for people to to utilize it. I've seen some creative things happen.
Yeah.
You know, crypto. I mean, people just got to really get to understand it. You know, where is the backing behind it? Is this a pump and dump, or is it something? And then it's a mixture of often branding. Like people always saying, "Oh, well, I know Dogecoin, or whatever the case is." So it's a funny space. If you have a couple of dollars, you know, the more branded ones that you see that you feel there's a good backing, it doesn't hurt to put $500,000 in and then leave it. The biggest problem I see with people, because we have so much access, is that when somebody opens a TD Ameritrade account, or what was that, Robinhood, or something like that, or a crypto account, they feel like they're Gordon Gekko once they go from $2,000 to $6,000, and they trade, which is, it's good, right? It's a profit. But if you would have put, I think, $20,000 into Apple in 1998, it would be worth $1 billion now if you didn't touch it after all the splits. Yeah. So the real thing to do is hold.
Yeah, which is it's an act of discipline.
It's hard, and there's nothing exciting. I opened up my Robinhood account and I got to do something with it, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that is where you see people, which I've made the same mistakes too, because I've made some good money off of Apple and I traded it though.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, I think that's like kind of one of the most famous lessons that Buffett talked about was that, like his kids now say like, yeah, we didn't grow up the son of this multi-billionaire, because he would buy stuff and just sit on it. Like he sat on it for decades. Yeah. And decades later, things started to be worth so much more.
Exactly.
But he was a super disciplined guy.
And that's why he didn't even look at the stock market every day. They were like, oh, the market's down, the market's up. He's like, okay. Yeah. I mean, he looked at it a little bit with his, the whole theory of he bought sausage on his, he bought a sausage McMuffin in the mornings when the market was up. But he never really stressed the market that way, Right. He knew that, if he saw it was down, he just doubled down on some stuff, but he didn't stress it that way.
People's fantasy, though, the excitement is like, I'm a day trader. Yeah. Which they don't know that, like, the smallest percentage of those people are actually good at that. Yeah.
And they're candlesticking, and they're looking at that thing moving in pennies and
pennies.
And they have these robots who are also they're pulling the trigger on a lot of stuff. So
yeah, that's got to be nuts. And that's I don't have the temperament for that. I think I would fucking lose my mind.
You go crazy.
These guys do.
Yeah. Oh, the younger guys and girls, they do it. They get excited about it, and it's good though. Because when you look at stocks and commodities and those things, as you see them moving up and down and you understand where it's come from, you become a more worldly person also. You start to see what's happening in the world. So I think that it forces you to say, well, what's Earth 2? Let me go look at that. All right, well, let me see these. And it broadens your mind. But then you got to have that discipline in some areas.
Yeah, which is a hard. How's Mama's wig doing? What's your horse's name?
Kent Blazemore.
What? Kent Blazemore.
Kent Blazemore?
Kent
Blazemore?
Blazemore is the name of his virtual horse. Yeah.
Oh. You mean like Blazemore?
I think so.
Yeah.
Or I think he's meaning like blazing by people.
Trailblazer.
Have you made any money?
Nope.
Okay. It's like normal people who own horses. Yeah.
Yeah. No, wait. What is, because that's a good point. Everybody fantasizes about being a baller and like doing baller shit. Like planes and yachts, and then some of them get into horses. Mm-hmm. Did you ever pull the trigger on some crazy shit like doesn't have to be a horse, but something in that world where you're
expensive
like
and
you're like, what the fuck did I buy?
Yeah. I one time I bought 2 houses about 10 blocks from each other.
Really?
Yeah.
Because were you upset about? You're like, I should have gotten this one.
I bought one in Portofino in Miami. Nice, good condo, but I realized it didn't have a dock. I didn't have a dock.
Yeah.
So then I bought a house 10 blocks away with a dock. When I could have just put my boat in the marina downstairs, but I didn't think about that.
Oh, you didn't think about that?
No, because I could just buy another house.
Yeah.
So it's pretty idiotic.
Idiotic, but also pretty fucking cool.
It was one
Did you
point.
keep both for a while?
Yeah, one time I had about 8 houses, but what I realized was that by the time I got to the house and I pointed out all the things that need to be done or fixed or whatever case, the weekend was over. I had to get back to work.
Oh, right.
And my friends enjoyed all these things more than I did.
Yeah.
And so I got rid of them. I had gotten divorced. So the good part is that I got rid of them in 2006, just because my wife and I decided to separate, and we had a great way to dissolve our marriage. So that wasn't the problem. I just was like, I don't need this anymore. She's not going to use it. I don't need this anymore. So I sold at the height of the market. So every house I bought, I sold it for 2 or 3 times more. So that was the best part about it.
Okay.
But other than that, I learned a lesson. I learned that, you can only shit in one toilet. You can only, how many cars, how many houses you need. And I had a much better way of life after that point where I did not have to worry about stuff.
What's the perfect amount of houses?
I would say one for all those who are going to say I'm an asshole. But
No.
my life, I think 3, and I'll tell you why.
Okay. Let's
Very
break it down.
very small apartment in New York because that's just a hub of business.
Yeah, New York's important. Yeah.
Right. My main home is upstate New York, where I love, and it's
You can decompress, and you can
200 acres. I could just chill. Very small. And then Miami, where I really live.
where you get down. Okay.
Yeah.
Where you have a dock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I'm trying to plan out where my 3 homes will be. That's all. I'm just thinking. I have one in Austin. I sold my house here. My friend and I were talking about where to have multiple homes. I thought a great place would be somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, like Montana, Wyoming.
Yeah.
Get away, decompress, have Kent Blazemore all up at the stall,
But remember when I had all those homes, it wasn't nothing like an Airbnb.
Right.
And now you can
you
have
can
a
just go
place.
there.
You can have a place in Spain that you go to one time for 4 or 5 days. It's a $10 million place or a $20 million place. You spend $20,000, you're done. No taxes, no maids have to clean up the place, no construction, no nothing, and you write half of it off, right?
Yeah.
Because it's travel, T&E. So it's better to do it like that.
See, that's why he's a shark. No, because I think I heard some version of this. I'm paraphrasing. They said like the best thing isn't owning a yacht. It's a friend that owns a yacht, right? Like somebody that gets to enjoy it without any responsibilities, but like their good friend has it and is like, yeah, come on board, because like your friends were enjoying these homes and all these perks.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. I try to mooch off all the other sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cuban's playing. Barbara has a couple of houses. Robert has a couple of houses. Yeah, all of them have houses. I just go, hey, I'm coming over there.
You're going to stay there for a week. And
Yeah, that's it, pretty much.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, guys. All right. I'm not going to buy 4 more homes. What about, should I get a plane?
It depends. Depends on if you can, you're putting that many hours in and you can
Traveling
write it off.
constantly.
Yeah. Depends on depends on the losses that you want to write off if you can.
All right. Write that down. I'm going to get a plane.
But you can when you get a plane, you can also rent it out simultaneously.
Yeah, right.
So
Charter it out to people.
You charter it out too, because right now because obviously everything going on, people don't want to be in the airports.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The business has exploded.
The luxury business has exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way to go, huh?
But plane?
Yeah.
I personally don't have a plane. I had one at one time for a little while, and it was a pain in the butt. And I wasn't traveling enough.
Okay.
So
You should see my tour schedule, though.
I charter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot less. Well, less than buying one, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And boats. Well, you have a dock. I assume you have a boat.
No, I don't have a boat anymore.
But you had a boat.
I had a boat.
And
Got rid of that too.
Because you're like, I'm not
Just
using it.
rather charter them.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are all lessons you've learned.
Yeah. Learn the hard way. Time and energy, as well, right? Because it's not only the money, it's how much time you're putting in on those things and how much are you getting out of it. Like if you end up being on the boat 6 times a year, well, then why do you have a boat? Why are you dealing with it, right? But you think every time you get one of these things that you're going to enjoy it so much.
Yes.
I'd rather charter and do all that stuff and then say, I'm chartering so much that I might as well do it instead of doing it the opposite way, acquiring it and then realizing I don't need it.
See, this is a new Audible podcast right here. Financial life lessons.
Yeah. You know what? I think I am going to do something where it's like ask the questions that you were too intimidated to ask, because...
Well, I don't know if we talked about this before, but it kind of makes me upset that we expect people to understand finance and money. You don't hear anything in elementary school, in middle school, in high school. You have to pursue a degree in something to even learn something out of college. And then you just enter the real world and people are like, why do you have fucking this kind of debt? Why don't you know how to do it? And you're like, I don't know. Why would I know this?
Spot on.
We don't teach anybody anything with this.
And people are ashamed when they're ashamed to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yet, at the dumbest time of your life, meaning 16, 17, 18, this is when you feel like you have opinions. You don't have to listen to mom and dad all the time, but you don't know enough. You can take out $500,000 worth of student loans and debt that you probably won't pay off until you're 50.
Crazy.
For a career that you're not even sure you want.
Right.
So that is the biggest problem. People don't know. They don't know what to do with taxes. They don't know how to pay taxes, a lot of people. They don't know how to avoid paying certain taxes that the government allows you to. Like right now, I don't know if people know that for the next year, you probably know as a business person, but this year and next year, you could write off 100% of everything you eat outside, restaurants, right? But people don't know that.
Yeah.
But people just don't realize what to do with money and how money works. They don't know it all.
Yeah, and you don't understand unless you have lessons and you've learned your life that it's a tool. It can be used for opportunities. It can be used to make things happen, but it can also destroy you. Yeah, it can be a huge burden. And I actually, the older I get, the more I used to, when I was younger, I had no money. When I would hear about an athlete or an artist going broke, I'd be like, what a fucking idiot. Like, why didn't he save his money? It was so stupid. The older I've gotten, I actually empathize and I go like, oh my God, if I were 22 and somebody was like, here's $26 million, I'd be like, oh, that shit would be gone.
Yeah,
it'd be gone.
People don't realize, listen, if you had $100 million, well, Uncle Sam's going to take their 40 or 45 million out of that, right?
Yeah.
So now you got 55. So instead of buying 3 houses at 500,000, you just buy 3 houses at 5 million, right? You just make bigger mistakes,
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what happens. And you turn around and you thought about the houses that you just bought, but if you're paying an average of 2% tax on those houses every year, well then if you have if you have $20 million worth of homes, well I think that's probably going to be 2%. 10% is $2 million. You're going to be paying $200,000 in taxes a year on those homes.
Nobody thinks about that.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know?
Yeah.
You got to do this podcast. You got to do. What do you want to know about money?
Yeah. We think
and you're going to reach more people too.
Well, I think more importantly, a lot of women control the household, the checkbook, generally around 55%. But a lot of them do not know how the money is being operated from if they happen to be in a relationship. They often don't know how the money is being utilized. Is it in bonds? Is it in stocks? Is there maturing insurance accounts? What reverse mortgages? What do they have? And so I think that, and a lot of them are just too intimidated to ask, even though they're controlling. Thanks for watching. I wish you love and power in your life. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Check you later.